Vina, and I'm here to talk about a very interesting movie called Sinners, directed by Ryan Couglar, and has Michael B. Jordan as the main character of the movie. That actually he makes the twin brothers Smokestack as the main characters. They come back to a hometown in Mississippi from Chicago, where they work as gangsters. Now they want to create a club for the black community just for fun. The movie starts when Sammy, a very young boy, he gets in the church in the morning with his broken guitar, just the fret part, and his father screams at him to let it go, and that's when the story comes back one day earlier. The first half of the story introduces for the characters that, in my opinion, they're very interesting. It's quite a stark drama. It really shows how the black people worked and lived that time, and how they were affected by the laws, the racism affected them, and the certain group, they called it Can, was a threat thing for them. Initially, they go to the main, like this city with the stores there, and we get to know the Shao family, a family of Chinese people that they're like they own stores, and they make business for their own club. And there, the boy said earlier, Sammy, he's the cousin of the twins brothers, Smoke and Stack. Smoke and Stack, both played by Michael Jordan. And their cousin Samuel, he's very talented. He's a blues guitarist and singer too. He really sings really well. For his young age, he has a great talent, and he will perform in that club they were making for that night. And then they gather other people, other musicians in the train station, and where we are introduced to the other characters. We know the Delta Slim, an older blues musician. He's very good with harmonica, and he's not very interested in money, but he's very interested in alcohol. He's more interested in alcohol than money itself. He's a very interesting character. And then we get introduced to Pearline, a very attractive woman that Sam gets interested in, and she's going to sing there. And she's married, even though there is a tension between them. And then appears a woman, a white woman named Mary, and she has a past with Stack. They had an affair, and he wants her to be away from him. Later, we will discover that actually he still has feelings for her, but actually he wants her safety, because even though she's mixed, we know that later she tells the story. She's very known in the black community, but she looks white. so she cannot be with them. And he tries to keep her by a distance to keep her safe due to segregation laws back that time. And later, during the way, we also will be introduced to another character named Cornbread, a cotton worker that later he'll be a very interesting important character responsible for being the doorman of the club. Then afterwards, an Irish man is being chased by natives that actually they're hunters. And he asks for help for a small house occupied by a couple of white people to get inside. The man actually is a member of the camp. But actually they don't know they actually invited a vampire, even though the native hunters told them about it. And then time goes on. That's when the fun begins. Well, I have to say that the most introduction the story have to say here. But for now on, I'll be telling more details at the end of the story. I will discuss more about it, and stay tuned, and here we go, spoilers aboard. At night, the club starts a show. Pearline, she comes first in the club. She sings and gives a great performance, but also she has wild moments with Sammy, even though she said she was married. And also many great musicians performing great time there. But the best one was when Sammy plays his guitar and starts to sing the blues. And when he performs, starts showing different African cultures and figures in different times, like DJs, electric guitar, people even doing real ritualistic religion figures, like a transcendent experience never seen in the history on screen before. That's absolute cinema. However, it calls attention of the vampire who goes to the door and try to convince them to get invited inside, because get invited is the only way for them to get in. However, initially they get denied because they're white and their music is not wanted either. His objective is a united world of different races, different cultures, all living together and get united because of the music. And he got totally interested in getting Sammy's unique talent. That's his main goal. As they cannot get inside, they buy those who leave the Mill Club to get inside and recruit people. First is the mixed white girl Mary, and then Cornbread, who went to, make number one. After she has some tension moments with Stack, she gets back inside and she convinces him to have intimate moments, and they get very steamy until she bites Stack and he dies, losing a lot of blood, until Stack come comes back as a vampire again. And both leave. I have to say that these vampires, they don't look like normal vampires, you know, the charming, they are kind of seductive, but they are way more animalistic, especially about the teeth. They don't have the long teeth. We see that all their teeth, they're more animalistic. They behave more animalistic way. They most vampires, just like Annie Rice's movies, for example. But they still have a few different myths, for example. And the character, a very important character I haven't mentioned before, is Annie. Annie, she had a relationship with Smoke in the past, and she's a very trusted, close to Smoke. And she's very known for, you know, how can I say, I would say she would be a witch. I don't want to say she's a witch, but she knows very well about supernatural creatures. And she's the one to explain the vampire rules and how they work. For them, they have no idea what's going on. And the garlic is something that really is toxic for the vampires. And then comes a garlic scene that each one has to take to prove if they are real humans or not. And there's some human scenes here there, just when Delta's lean he takes it doesn't feel good, but actually it's about the alcohol, not about the garlic. And the ones that like survived and decided the meal alone is a Stack, Annie, Sani, Cornbread, Grace Child, Chinese woman, and Pearline. They're stuck. Initially they were going to wait until sunrise, but until Grace screws the thing. Grace Child, the Chinese woman, they appear for her husband. He was outside and he appears, but apparently he's a vampire, and he threatens her to go inside or takes her because their daughter, they have a daughter together, she was in danger and she got desperate and she screams like invited inside, and they all get prepared for the big fight scene in the end. And the vampires get inside and they start to fight. Before they're also seeing the vampires like a circle singing in synchrony, a very kind of disturbing way, very well done. But here comes the final action scene of the vampire is against the living, inside and outside the mirror. Gracie, she attacks one of the vampires and he burns, and she gets burned herself too. Annie, she was attacked by Smoke, and the stake on the heart is something to kill the vampire, and Smoke's so heartbroken he uses stake in Annie, making Stack and Mary very upset about it because they could turn her, and she told him that they were waiting someone so very important in the other side. And the twin brothers Smoke and Stack, they fight each other, and Sammy was with them, and he sees his loved one Pearline also be attacked by the Irish vampire, and they have also to use a stake on her to not, as she will become a vampire very soon as well. And this Irish vampire and this Sammy, they fight outside the mill and on the water. And this Irish and everything, he scratches Sammy and he starts to put his head inside the water and out until he breaks his guitar, because there was a big silver ring on the guitar, and hurts this vampire that gets desperate. But actually what really kills him is the sunrise hand, and most of the vampires outside. Smoke stays around in the sunrise when the man he made deals with in the beginning, the other movie, they bought his mill, he brought his henchmen that actually all part of the camp. Smoke knew that he, with his veteran guns and skills, he kills them all in big style. But he gets shot as well, and then he sees Annie breastfeeding their child, and she passes, sees her daughter to her, for him to hold her. It comes back to the beginning church scene. Sammy's father in the church, because his father is a pastor, pleading to him to let the music go because of all that happened to him, the scars, scratches he had and everything, his broken guitar, because it was a devil's thing, and it was Shakespeare. But actually he chose the music instead, and he goes away in the train's cars going to other place. And then it comes Back to the Future in the 90s. The movie sets in 1932. When this movie goes 60 years later in 1992. That he's accomplished blues musician Sammy Ward, and he comes and he's visited by Stack and Mary, modernize it to visit him. And they have a brief conversation, and he discovers that Stack, to be alive, he made a promise to Smoke to keep Sammy alive, as they were their dear cousin. That's when the movie ends. The end. Wow. That's a masterpiece, a great movie. I haven't seen this while. It's very interesting. I really like blues. I know a little bit of the history of the blues, how it was created, some eras, and I also know how Chicago is one of the most famous cities where the most famous blues musician go to play their music there. And I really love it because it's also has this myth and mythology and evolving music around. It's very interesting because the vampires are not really a main thing of the story, just something that they happen as the story goes. And they have great actors and the very charismatic characters. We care about them through the movie, something very rare in horror movies. And even the villains, they have some charm. The Archman, he has some charm. And he's not necessarily a mean villain. Well, I hope you guys really enjoy watching Sinners. I really love this one. And don't forget to share. And don't forget to like, subscribe for my channel, and leave a comment on this video. And thank you for all. Until the next time.